Oh, that's a Sieg Heil. It took you that long? Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a Sieg Heil. It's a lot of them, too. Are they praising to Hitler? No, actually. This is the anniversary of 1978 death of right-wing activists in Italy. Their deaths were attributed to communists. So essentially, they're rallying around the memory of their predecessors. I don't know if communists actually shot them. If they do, I disavow. You know, it's irrelevant, obviously, in the face of this. I think that this has received broad condemnation. So Meloni, the current leader in Italy, is herself a fascist. It's Mussolini's party. She's a fan of Mussolini. I think she has condemned this. Hold on. In a statement, Meloni's party accused it of, quote, using the memory of the tragic death of 3 boys killed by communist hatred to make sinister propaganda. So yes, Meloni's party very earnestly and sincerely denouncing these Nazis by saying, hey, listen, I know those 3 boys were killed by monstrous communist hatred. However, bad optics. Outrage in Italy after hundreds give fascist salute at a rally in Rome. Shock and outrage. Video circulating online. Blah, 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 blah. The Acca Laurentia killings, they're known, are marked annually, but this year's public display and an apparent lack of police intervention has prompted criticism from opposition lawmakers. The people in standing dozen rows raised their arms in a salute to the regime of Benito Mussolini, Italy's fascist dictator. They appear to shout present 3 times in unison in response to someone yelling, for all fallen comrades, a typical rallying cry at neo-fascist events. We do love to see, you know, well-organized, lined-up Nazis Sieg Heiling to commemorate their fallen. That's definitely a good vibe, you know, like in your country. It's very good. Good vibes. They did it during the years of... Yeah, Italy, like, thanks to the United States, Italy spent several decades after World War II essentially being in like a covert war with itself between sort of like communist commandos and America-backed Nazis, essentially. A lot of, you know, Operation Gladio, a lot of wacky stuff going on. Yeah, please remember, everything bad in Italy post-World War II is definitely our fault. We did a lot of bad shit over there. So opposition parties have been calling Giorgia Meloni, a right-wing government, to ban neo-fascist groups after a chilling video emerged of hundreds of men making fascist salutes during an event in Rome. We've seen that video. Carlo Calenda, leader of the centrist Azione party, said this is an unacceptable disgrace in a European democracy. The Five-Star Movement said it would present a complaint to prosecutors for apology of fascism. By the way, the people killed in the killings were literal neo-Nazis, not excusing the killings, but not exactly people to be mourned either. That's why I said I disavow in the most insincere way possible. Neo-fascist groups such as the MSI. Yeah, which group actually led this? Was it Italian Social Movement, the MSI? The crowd was gathered outside the former headquarters of the Italian Social Movement, or MSI, a neo-fascist party founded after the Second World War, which eventually morphed into Meloni's Brothers of Italy party. Okay, so they were at the former neo-fascist headquarters of what would later become just the current leadership of Italy, you know? That's cool. Italy's post-war constitution outlawed displays of fascist ideology and propaganda. However, neo-fascist groups such as MSI, co-founded by Giorgio Almirante, a minister in Mussolini's government, were able to circumvent the ban by using a different name and claiming to be new political forces. Wow, haven't seen that tactic before. Oh, we're not Nazis, we're alt-right. I mean, we're just neocons. I mean, we're just tradcons. I mean, we're just paleocons. I mean, we're just traditionalists. I mean, yeah. Is there no messaging? Is there no, like, reporting out there on who was leading these protests? Is there not like an organization that's being pointed to? They were outside the former MSI headquarters. Like, what? Galeazzo Bignami, a Brothers of Italy politician who was once photographed wearing a Nazi swastika armband, is a junior minister in Meloni's government. Love this, by the way. Italy doing extremely well. He feels profound shame over wearing a swastika in 2005. There we go. Ah, man, he looks exactly like how you think he would look. Thankfully, there's a very large anti-fascist movement in Italy, and they're very militant, so they're not doomed. Well, yeah, because Italy's not even a real country, you know? It's like Syria or whatever. So you can do any old wacky shit. The thing is, Mussolini was mind-numbingly incompetent. Why do these clowns worship him? Fascists are always incompetent. There's not really an exception to that. Like, fascist competence is a myth. They don't care about competence. They care about killing brown people. That's very much a big thing over here in Italy. Northern Italy is insanely racist against Southern Italy, and like a significant portion of both northern and southern Italy are racist against brown migrants heading across the Mediterranean, you know? The trains running on time thing is a myth. Yeah, total bullshit, by the way, you know? Like, everyone always does that. It's like, oh, Mussolini was bad, but he made the trains run on time. No, he didn't. The train systems were already in place in Italy, and if anything, they got worse over time, thanks to his incompetence in running the government. Oh, you know, Germany was bad, but, you know, hey, at least he brought the economy back in line. No, he didn't. The entire world at that point had largely recovered from the worst of the Great Depression, and he instigated a war economy. And the material conditions for, like, the average German throughout that time got worse as the war progressed. It didn't, like, he presided over the bounce back from the Great Depression. Other countries did it, you know? Like, I just want more information on the specifics of who, like, managed this. You can't even give Hitler credit for the Autobahn or remilitarization. The beginnings all started under the Weimar government. Yeah. Yeah, the closest thing that you can really get to, like, competent fascist governments would probably be, like, in what I can think of as big examples go, I would say Stalin. There were obviously massive ups and, you know, a few Holdomers and what have you. But there were definitely elements of, like, economic revitalization and development that were they were pretty impressive. More so in the USSR than China, at least. China's big kickout didn't really come about until Dengism. Yeah, Dengism, modern China. But was Deng a fascist? In some ways, maybe. But not broadly, I don't think. Xi Jinping has definitely been a lot more aggressive with the whole, like, Chinese nationalist da-di-da. Yeah, he's like a murderous neolib, you know, as they all are. An official wreath-laying ceremony to the victims, hours before the fascist salutes were performed, was attended by numerous senior politicians, including members of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's and her far-right Brother of Italy party. Oh, that's nice. That's good information that I would have liked to have seen earlier. That before all these guys showed up to Hitler salute the memory of these Nazis who were killed 50 years ago, members of the current ruling party of Italy showed up to pay their respects. And after they left, these guys showed up, meaning there was an almost 100% likelihood that there was some degree of collaboration between these guys and those guys. The likelihood of them both showing up to do the same essential thing at the same place without there being any concerns for, like, overlap or scheduling, it's almost certain at the very least that people on the staff of those politicians were aware of what was going to happen or the extent to which it was going to happen. Neither Meloni nor Brothers of Italy MPs had condemned the salutes at time of publication, with the only criticism coming from a government figure, Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani. Let's see. Many members of the Brothers of Italy are former members of MSI, including Rampelli, who acted as a mentor to Meloni in her days as a young activist after joining the MSI's Youth Front in 1992. Meloni herself has previously attended official tributes commemorating the victims, giving a speech at a similar memorial ceremony in 2021. It is a wound that is never healed because there was no justice. Keep in mind, this is about 2 Nazis who were shot like 45 years ago. I wonder why they're choosing to commemorate these 2 people, you know? Like, I'm sure that there are lots of people who died in Italy back in the 70s, you know? I really doubt these are the only 2 people. Oh, here's the same thing happening 3 years ago. January 8th, 2021. Hundreds of Italian far-right activists performing the fascist salute memorial to 3 fanatics who were gunned down in unresolved assassinations. Why is the Daily Mail framing here better than a lot of other news organizations? So wait, this same thing happens every year then. Then what's unique about why all the new news coverage for this one? No police intervention? Yeah, maybe there was some difference in the size or the presence or the rhetoric specifically. New PM, yeah. Hold on. Giorgia Meloni 2021 Acca Larentia speech. There has to be video footage from when she did it back in 2021, right? How could there not be? We put quotations around Larentia so that YouTube stops about. I don't remember there being much recording about that. I don't know how much, like, coverage is given to it generally. It's not the first time we've talked about it on stream, but if anyone's interested in knowing why Italy is the way it is, the United States was really, really, really paranoid about countries like Italy and Greece and, well, everywhere else falling to communism after the beginning of the Cold War. So we dealt with them in different ways. Like, a big part of our strategy of promoting sort of Western hegemony and American supremacy was with the Marshall Plan. You know, let's say we'll give you lots of money. That'll keep the right people in power. We'll give you money to rebuild after the war, and we'll do it, like, in the framework of supporting the pro-capitalist candidates in your country. Like, we'll bolster that side of things. And then there was Operation Gladio, the clandestine stay-behind operations of armed resistance organized by the Western Union and subsequently by NATO in collaboration with several European intelligence agencies during the Cold War. Gladio refers to the Italian branch, but we did this all over the place. According to several Western European researchers, the operation involved the use of assassination, psychological warfare, and false flag operations to delegitimize left-wing parties in Western European countries, and even went so far as to support anti-communist militias and right-wing terrorism as they tortured communists and assassinated them, such as Eduardo Mondlane in 1969. The U.S. Department of State rejected the view they supported terrorists and maintains the operation served only to resist a potential invasion of Western Europe countries by Soviet Union. Okay, so basically, if the Soviet Union ever decided to truly invade Western Europe, America knew they couldn't stop her, right? Like, America knew that, like, the Iron Curtain was right there down the center of Germany. They knew goddamn well that if all of the Soviet forces decided to invade, that would be a lot. So what they did was like, okay, what if we had, like, former military trained, like, special ops dudes who were implanted in European countries? So if the communists ever took over, those guys would, like, activate, and they would be able to fight back against the communist occupation. And it turns out, if the year is 1950 and you go into Italy and you say, hey, who here wants a bunch of guns and money and also wants the US State Department permission to, like, carry out guerrilla anti-communist warfare in your own country, the people who raise their hands are Nazis, like all of them. So basically, the US government gave a ton of weapons and implicit political power to, like, militia, Nazi, and far-right groups in Italy. And then it turns out the communists never invaded, so what do they do with those guns? They use them to rob banks. We basically just, like, funded right-wing terror cells in Italy for decades. Oops. The fascists in Turkey, the CIA helped train in Turkey, never got disbanded, and are responsible for at least 15,000 murders, mostly of Kurds. Whoops! The Turkish branch of Operation Gladio. Whoops! Oopsie! Counter-guerrilla's existence was revealed in 1971 by survivors of the Zimverbe incident. Dun dun. After the 1971 coup d'etat, the Zimverbe villa in Erenköy, Istanbul, was used to interrogate Turkish communists. The mastermind behind the interrogations was Brigadier General Meddu Unluturk, working under Lieutenant General Turgut Sanalp, reporting to Commander First Army. All right, what'd they do? What'd they do? Intellectuals such as Ilhan Selçuk and Ugur Mumku were tortured there. Several Zimverbe victims confirmed that the interrogators introduced themselves as counter-guerrillas and claimed to be above the law and entitled to kill. Under duress to write an apologetic statement, Selçuk famously revealed his plight using a modified acrostic which decrypted to "I am under torture." The key letter was the first in the penultimate word of every sentence in his statement. Go to the post-USSR tab, it's absolutely insane. Lockreds of the Kurdish issue, Chief of Staff restructured, renamed it to Special Forces Command. The OKK, whose 7K troops were nicknamed the Maroon Berets, combats terrorism and protects the Chief of Staff, Presidents on board. In 1993, the Parliament formed a commission to investigate the numerous unsolved murders believed to be perpetrated by the counter-guerrilla. The report enumerated 1,797 such deaths. General Gures contacted the Speaker of Parliament to stop the investigation in order to prevent the outing of his men. Meanwhile, State Security Court Prosecutor Nusret Demirel ordered the police force not to cooperate with the Parliamentary Commission in solving the crime. So the United States was like, hey, would you like to kill communists? We mean Kurds. And the Turkish military was like, yes. And then later, when the government tries to investigate it, the military and police both say, no, we will not cooperate with your investigation. As a matter of fact, it would be in the interest of your health to not investigate this further. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, anyway. So yeah, we made a couple mistakes, foreign policy-wise. Just a little bit, just a slight, small amount.